These women today, they're sneaky, bro. They know how to hide stuff. They know how to hide stuff without anything being found. They know that, and y'all know it's true. That's why y'all saying that. Them girl trips to Jamaica and Las Vegas, those ain't really girls trips. Those is hoe trips. Those is what those are.
Welcome to The Wall. Today we're going to see how a girl calls her partner insecure because he's not thrilled about her going on a trip with her friends. We'll also look at the story of a man who decided to take control of his life and left his wife when he realized she didn't respect his priorities. Remember, here we just react to videos and give our opinions. It's nothing personal against anyone. I want you to smash that like button and join the channel by subscribing. Add a little of your love to the movement. That's the only contribution we ask for, man. Share your experiences in the comments to guide other men. Without further ado, let's get started.
Thoughts on your girlfriend wanting to go on a girls' trip to Miami with her single friend?
Well, it's a test of her fidelity. That's the way you should look at it. Because if you get all insecure and nervous and upset and angry and tell her she can't go, she'll probably go anyways. It makes you look weak and insecure. The best way to handle that, because the reality is you can be the best boyfriend, best husband in the world, and if you're with a liar and a cheater, eventually the conditions are going to be there. Maybe you slip up or whatever, and she's going to cheat on you. So you're just kind of casually dating. It's best to know now, how is she going to behave? And I wouldn't even bring it up. I'd say, have a good time, honey, and go have fun with your friends, your family. Go see your mom, kiss your mom, tell her you love her, and enjoy your life. But because if she trusts you and thinks that you totally trust her, then as she feels comfortable, she might get sloppy. And that's what you want to see. Because when a woman thinks you totally trust her and there's no hint of anything, that's when she'll slip up if she did anything inappropriate. And then, because that's part of the vetting process when you date somebody. That's why you should date for several years before you get married, to see what they're really like and the ups and downs of the relationship. Because the infatuation typically lasts 6 to 12 months, and then it wears off, and then you know what you each are like on your best and your worst days, and if you like hanging out, and if you want to stay with them, and do their actions match their words. Because somebody that's a liar and a cheater is going to deceive you about other things other than, including cheating on you. So they'll lie about just simple little white lies here and there. You're looking for integrity. Can I trust this person? Is she going to be loyal and faithful when I'm away? Is she wearing things in Vegas or on the girls' trip that she never wears around me? Those are all things that you want to know. Because if she is dressing up hot, but she's not dressing up hot when she's with you, obviously she's dressing up hot for somebody else.
Yeah, but you also can't assume that she'll be cheating on you either. You're only going to drive yourself insane if you do that.
Trust but verify.
Just get on the next flight and stay at the hotel next door.
Look, if you're married, those girls' trips just don't fly. Your wife can travel with you, period. It's not about being controlling, but about doing things in a balanced way. Now, if you're just getting to know each other and it's nothing serious, you shouldn't accept it either. But let's be honest, there's little you can do at that stage. A friend of mine used to say, "My wife is mine while she's by my side. When she's far from me, I don't know who she is." And even though it sounds harsh, it's the truth. If she's going to cheat, there's nothing you can do to prevent it. That comes from a person's values, not from what you tell them. So, if you're not okay with her going and she decides to go anyway, don't become controlling or insecure. Insecurity can be sensed from miles away. Instead, calmly tell her to enjoy her trip, and you take the time to enjoy yourself however you see fit. And keep this in mind. You don't owe respect to anyone who hasn't earned it. Set your own boundaries in the relationship and be upfront about them. If she chooses to ignore what bothers you, then you have every right to do what you want as well. Simple and clear.
Get a couple pairs of binoculars.
Such long
a nice
trench coat.
Telescopic rifle scope or something so you can.
Really
Kind of we
zoom
use the
in.
gun range to see, where the bullet's in. So you can see her through her hotel window and see what's going on.
No, but yeah, driving yourself crazy over that stuff is just gonna make things
It
worse.
makes things worse,
you
and
know?
it makes things worse when you finally, if something happens, then it makes it even worse. You're like, you beat yourself down. You're like, I freaking knew it. I freaking knew it. And then now you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I take action on it? So it's just like,
Because the thing is, if you assume and it turns out that the person's not a cheater, it's only gonna. I feel.
yeah.
It's gonna
Well, you
make it
gotta think
worse.
about it all the time. We were talking about that in a question the other day. When when you like become not like overly obsessive, I guess it would be, yeah. And then just you keep thinking about it, and then you build like something that's a fruit loop that you keep thinking about the stuff over and over again. And I feel like people who do that, you convince yourself that the person has already done bad, even though they haven't. And so then I think that you take that stuff out on your significant other when they haven't done anything.
Yeah, the problem is to assume and to be accusatory, because a lot of times when people do that, they're reacting to somebody in the past that was not trustworthy. Somebody that cheats constantly and has no integrity typically is going to be constantly accusing you of doing something you shouldn't be doing. Because everybody projects whatever they're thinking, they're feeling, they project it onto other people. And so cheaters project their dishonesty onto other people. That's why people that tend to be crooks and criminals will, hey, I do everything with honor and integrity. I'm a Christian. I'm a good guy. I wouldn't screw you over. And it's like, well, why are you bringing it up? Obviously, when you hear that, we all know that my spidey sense is tingling. I should probably be suspicious of anything this person tells me. Always verify what people do, not what they say.
This man has a point. Many times, the person who keeps accusing you of doing something wrong is the one who has something to hide. If there are no signs of infidelity, but they constantly blame you, they might be projecting their own behavior. And of course, this happens a lot with people, sometimes women, who don't want to be controlled but are the first to try to control every step you take. Now, let's be clear. A woman who feels completely free, in a relaxed environment, without stress, surrounded by single friends who just want to have fun. My friend, that's a perfect cocktail for her to do something wrong if she wants, without anyone finding out. Be careful. We're not saying that all women do this, but temptations exist. And look at these stats. According to recent studies, the infidelity rate among young women in the US has been increasing. Here are the numbers. 12.9% of women aged 18 to 24 have admitted to cheating on their partners. For women aged 25 to 34, the number goes up to 15.9%. This increase is due to several factors, such as greater social independence, opportunities, thanks, dating apps, and female empowerment. Today, more women feel they have the same freedom and rights as men. So, would you let your girl go on a trip with her friends? Think about it carefully.
So I found out my wife has been cheating on me.
What are you talking about?
Say what you just said.
I said I'll be back in an hour max.
Exactly. My name's Sebastian.
Oh my god, I can't.
You don't know the people closest to you unless you have traveled with them. Until you have hopped on a flight, checked into a hotel, gotten ready together in one bathroom, and then made sure that no one loses the hotel key. That is when you will know if you guys are truly friends. Especially when it's just girls. Because you will either leave that trip loving each other, or you are going to hate that person. You are going to hate each other.
I found it funny how that woman got scared when her husband said that. She probably thought, how did you find out? But then there's that other woman who decided not to travel with her friends anymore. To me, it sounds like she saw one of her friends doing something that didn't align with her values. The truth is, many women go on trips with the best intentions, all innocent, until one of the friends finds something more entertaining than the planned itinerary, and that's when the problems start. Of course, if you see your married friend having fun in a way that doesn't sit right with you, and you're not into that kind of party scene, it's natural to want to distance yourself. If you're a woman with values, you're not going to want to be in that kind of environment. Now, if that friend is saying, you're going to hate me, it's because that trip must have been wild. and she probably decided to stay out of other people's messes.
Did a husband cross the line when he left his wife at the airport? The husband explained they had about 15 minutes until boarding started, and his wife insisted on going to Starbucks, which was on a different terminal. He told her she didn't have time, but she didn't listen. He waited as long as possible, but when the gate agent was about to close the door, he decided to get on the plane, and the wife did not make the connection.
Yeah, throw the whole wife away.
Yeah.
First of all, he was going to visit his daughter. So when the wife decided to go to another terminal with 15 minutes to board the plane, she made him make a choice between her and his daughter. So there was just a trip planned before. She overslept, so they already missed the flight. So this is the second time that they're going to try to see his daughter.
Yeah, she didn't want to go.
When she decided that she was going to delay or just take her sweet time like the plane was supposed to wait for her, then he did the right thing and he got his butt on that plane to go see his daughter.
1000% agree with him. She never wanted to go, and she was trying to let him not go. He made the right choice.
The man did exactly what a real man would do, not fall into the game of emotional manipulation. In this case, we're talking about his wife, who seems more like an evil stepmother from a fairy tale. She knew perfectly well there wasn't enough time to go to Starbucks, but still decided to challenge him, hoping he would cave and put her above his daughter. This, gentlemen, is a control test, nothing more, nothing less. And what was she trying to achieve? Basically, she wanted the world to revolve around her, even if it meant missing a flight that had already been rescheduled. She wanted to see if her husband would wait for her, even though the situation was completely irrational. But he acted with logic and authority. He boarded the plane and prioritized what was important, seeing his daughter, over his wife's whims. It's not that he doesn't love her, it's that priorities are clear, and you can't allow anyone to play with your time as if it doesn't matter. He marked his territory, and that's crucial for a man of value. You can never let a woman drag you into her games of insecurity or tantrums. The message for all men is simple. You're not anyone's emotional servant. When it comes to important decisions, don't hesitate to put your principles and priorities first.
How would you feel about your partner going on a fellas/girls trip with their single friends? These single friends are out there, actively engaging in whatever is thrown their way.
Have a conversation with your partner and express how it makes you feel. And if he truly respects your relationship, if he truly loves you, he's going to understand that.
The thing that popped out to me the most is she said, how do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
And we understand that feelings are a product of our thoughts. So you got to ask yourself, what are you thinking is going to happen that makes you feel a certain type of way? Right. And if there are certain thoughts that you're having, you have to challenge those beliefs and see if they're valid. If things have happened in the past that would make you insecure about your partner going on a trip with his friends. Because what's interesting to me is if his friends are always catching what is being thrown their way, but yet he still hangs around them, why isn't there a deeper conversation about if those friends are good for him in general? Because his proximity shouldn't determine your comfortability. It shouldn't determine his commitment to the relationship. So if he's hanging around those friends while y'all are at home and he's not on vacation and it's cool, then what is the difference of him traveling on a trip with his friends? Because he should remain the same man out of your presence that he is in your presence.
Oh, hell no!
No way I'm accepting that. How are you going to tell me she's going on a trip with her single friends, both men and women? That's for single people, not someone in a committed relationship. If you're committed, you can't go around living a single life. Now, you try telling her you're going on a guy's trip with a single female friend, and let's see if she's okay with it. I bet she wouldn't be. And if you dare tell her it's because she's insecure, I guarantee that won't work. Let's be clear. If a woman truly respects you, she won't put herself in situations where her loyalty is in question. And how many times have we seen women with a plan B or that friend in the friend zone who's clearly waiting for his chance? If she ever tells you she has one of those friends, tell her to call him and say she's interested in more. I guarantee that guy will confess his feelings in no time. This isn't about insecurity or how you feel. It's about respect. When you're in a serious relationship, that single life is supposed to be behind you. If she wants to travel, she should travel with you. Why can't you both go with her friends? There's no excuse. So, brothers, if this ever happens to you, and she decides to go anyway, in the relationship, when she comes back, replace her. Learn to give your absence to those who don't value your presence.
Your friendly reminder that getting divorced sucks, but being divorced, pretty great.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll look at a heartbreaking case of a man who was a victim of paternity fraud. We will also discuss the alarming percentage of paternity fraud in the United States and how men are advocating for mandatory DNA testing. Make sure to smash that like button and join the channel by subscribing. Show some love to the movement. That's the only support we ask for, man. Share your experiences in the comments to guide other men. Without further ado, let's get started.
I don't know if you guys seen this video that's gone viral, but watch the video if you haven't, and then let's discuss this. Yeah, just watch
The results are as follows. In the case of Manser versus Sear, as it pertains to 20-year-old Dylan Sear, Mr. Manser, you are not
God.
his father.
Oh, man. 5 years in prison. Oh, my God. She should be convicted of some crime.
No, I should not. I didn't.
That
Mr.
is
Manser,
fraud.
Mr. Manser,
That is fraud.
I know you're upset. Do you want to find out who your father is?
Of course.
Miss Sear, do you know?
Yes, ma'am.
You know who his father is?
Yes, I talk to him still.
Listen.
Get away from my son.
He apologized.
And under another breath, he's calling me a liar.
You cannot stand there and really suggest that you cannot comprehend why this man would not have any type of ill feeling, frustration, or regret as it relates to anything involving you. 5 years in prison. And then I say, do you know who your son's father is? And you say, yes, I'm still in touch with him. That is a really huge pill to swallow.
I remember being asked this on a podcast whether I would have a problem if my husband asked me for a paternity test. And initially I was like, of course I would. That is offensive for my husband to ask me for a paternity test. What? No, who do you think you married? But when I see videos like this, I feel like, you know what? I'm not going to say I wouldn't still be like, you know, because it depends on the dynamics of the relationship. Is that your husband? Is that your boyfriend? Is that someone you're just linking? All of that plays a part, because if it's someone that I'm just linking and end up getting pregnant, yeah, he has a right. If he wanted to, I wouldn't be offended. I'd be more than happy to do it. If it's your husband now, you feel a bit different. However, in saying that, do I now believe that maybe it should be mandatory for every man to have a paternity test? Because of women like this, and there are many women like this, I do believe that maybe it should be mandatory, because as women, we would always know that that child is coming from us, right? We know definitely that's our child. But how does a man, how do you guarantee that that is that man's child? It's literally just our word.
Damn! I completely agree. That woman should face the consequences. That man spent 5 years in jail for not being able to support a child she knew perfectly well wasn't his. And the judges, just as negligent as she was, didn't even ask for a DNA test before locking him up. They just throw you in the hole without questioning anything, leaving you to rot while the real culprit stays free. And on top of that, she has the nerve to ask him if he knew he wasn't the father, with an indignant look on her face, as if what she did wasn't already enough. She claims she talks to the real father as if that would fix everything. That's criminal, brother. It fills you with rage to see something like that because it's obvious everything was pure selfishness. That woman didn't want him to leave, and she used the child as a weapon. DNA testing should be mandatory from the start. The fact that someone gets offended when you ask for something as basic as confirming paternity only shows a clear attempt at emotional manipulation. A man has the right to know if the child, into whom he's investing years of his life and resources, is truly his own flesh and blood. It's the most important thing for a man. His legacy, his lineage. The greatest show of trust and loyalty a woman can give her man is a DNA test. That would prove she has nothing to hide and truly loves him.
The husband is demanding a paternity test for his newborn child, or he won't sign the birth certificate. The wife and new mom gave some backstory on Reddit, sharing that she and her husband both worked hard on their college degrees and are now established in good careers. Her husband came into the relationship with a lot of debt, so she moved him into her house, which she owned, and helped him slowly pay things off. Eventually, the wife secured a better paying job, but it was a physically demanding job that required travel. And you can probably see where this is going. The woman became pregnant, and when she was 8 months pregnant, her husband demanded a paternity test out of nowhere. He said he trusted her, but because she traveled so much for work, he needed the assurance for his peace of mind. Apparently, his family and friends said he couldn't be sure about the pregnancy since his wife had spent so much time away. This request understandably upset his wife, so he dropped it. But 3 months after their son was born, he brought it up again, and this time he put his foot down, insisting he wouldn't put his name on their son's birth certificate without a paternity test. Too late, bud. That paperwork was filled out at the hospital. When he found out, it infuriated him. Now his family and friends are calling the new mom, pressuring her to let him do the paternity test. She says it's a slap in the face after all she's done for him. Research shows that without trust, relationships suffer, and this dad is definitely lacking trust. Once trust is lost in a relationship, it's very hard to recover, and this wife has assured her husband many times that their son belongs to him and that she's been faithful. But he's choosing to take the words of his friends and family over his wife, and if he can't trust his wife, the future of their relationship might not be secure. And she shouldn't have to submit herself to a paternity test when she's given her husband no reason to doubt her loyalty.
Exactly, because the only thing she loses is that integrity she claims to have, but in reality, it holds no value in this world. Meanwhile, he loses 18 years of his life raising another man's child, spending over $300,000 in the process. But, of course, what seems to matter here is that she doesn't get offended. She feels offended because she thinks that, since he helped her financially, now he owes her blind faith. But let's be clear. The fact that he helped her pay her debts doesn't mean he owes her his silence or emotional submission. Paternity for a man is a matter of life and death in terms of time, resources, and commitment. Demanding certainty is not disrespectful, it's pure intelligence. That excuse that he's traveled a lot for work is precisely the reason why he has every right to ask for a paternity test. If she spends long periods away, it's completely logical for him to want to ensure everything is in order. It's not a direct accusation. It's just that in a world where infidelity happens, a responsible man protects his future before fully committing. Avoiding a paternity test only raises more suspicions. If she truly has nothing to hide, accepting the test should be natural. Don't be fooled, brothers.
Apparently right now there's a huge debate on whether or not paternity tests should be mandatory. A lot of women are against it, to no surprise whatsoever. A lot of them are saying that they would divorce their husband immediately if he asked them for a paternity test. And even some men are saying that it would be labeling their wife as a whore to ask for a paternity test. So I'm gonna have to disagree with the women and the men on this that are against mandatory paternity tests, because as a woman, I'm never gonna know what it feels like to question if the child is mine or not, with the exception of baby swaps in the hospitals, but how often does that happen? And also as a woman, why wouldn't I want my child to then be swapped to ensure that that is my child after all, and then give that man peace of mind? This isn't about trust. This is just about peace of mind, because you know what? With the statistics that have come out and the data that has come out with how many women cheat in marriages and how many women cheat in general, if I was a man, I would want a paternity test for sure. In France, it's cost
such a debacle that they have made it illegal. Doesn't that in itself speak volumes? I really don't see the issue with this becoming a mandatory thing for everyone to get, because then no woman would feel signaled out. It wouldn't be a personal decision, it would be just something that everyone gets. So it would give your husband peace of mind, it would give you peace of mind, because you know that your baby was not swapped at the hospital, and you wouldn't be questioning that trust aspect because everyone's doing it. So I really don't see the issue if this was a government mandate. However, if you guys still have an issue with that, then you know what? Why don't men just get the baby swabbed? I 100% think that every single man should swab their baby. I don't care if you have to do it behind her back. Swab that baby, because the risks are way too high these days. And if she's getting offended, that's a red flag, because personally I would not care. I would not get offended. I would want the peace of mind for myself that the baby wasn't swapped at the hospital, and if I can give my husband peace of mind at the same time, why would I not do that? I have nothing to hide. If someone doesn't have anything to hide, they wouldn't care. You can be empathetic towards the male gender due to this issue that's going on with so many women tricking men into being fathers for babies that aren't theirs.
1 in 3 DNA tests come back negative. Paternity fraud, where a man is led to believe he is the biological father of a child when he is not, happens more frequently than many people imagine. According to data from the American Association of Blood Banks, approximately 28% of paternity tests reveal that the man tested is not the biological father of the child. It's important to clarify that this statistic applies to men who already had doubts and therefore requested the test. Now, imagine how that percentage would increase if DNA testing were mandatory for all cases. If 28% of men who already doubted discover they are not the biological fathers, how can anyone expect trust to be based solely on someone's word? If a woman has nothing to hide, why oppose a paternity test that only seeks to provide certainty and peace of mind for both? Trust in a relationship is not built on assumptions or denying biological reality, but on total transparency. If the first reaction to a test request is to feel offended, that's even more reason to ask for it.
Just so you guys know, paternity tests, you can't trust these whatever. You are gonna need her consent because you need a DNA sample from her too. The way it works is they do the analysis and it'll show what markers the baby has, see which ones they got from you and which ones they got from the mother. So you're gonna need her consent. It's hard to argue not doing it because we live in a time where we have the technology to be sure that your kid's your kid. Why wouldn't you do that? I've decided that I have to. I like knowing that my kid's my kid and being certain and then following science to know that for sure. If this is something you want to do, make the decision that you're gonna do it before you meet her, before you have the kid. Of course, she's gonna try to guilt trip you. You don't really love me. You don't trust me. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. It has nothing to do with you, lady. I was always gonna do this. I expect it to be a tough conversation, but you make a decision, you stick with it. And that's where I'm at. Don't get me started on the whole marriage thing either. The license part, you can get rid of that. You can get the ring, and maybe not the paper. You can get the rock, but you're not gonna get the paper. Oh, that's a fucking dope line. Shit.
Absolutely. As I've said in previous videos, a man must learn to have difficult conversations. It's crucial to establish clear and non-negotiable boundaries. For me, a DNA test is one of those non-negotiables. I present it in 2 ways. I tell you that I'll do it with your approval, or I'll do it without it, but the DNA test will happen. It might not be the first thing we talk about, and you might not know about it right away, but within the first year of the child's life, that test will be done. This is what I call setting a precedent. She will know from the start that if anything happens and she gets pregnant, she won't be able to make me pay for a child that isn't mine. The most important thing in a man's life is his children, his DNA, and his lineage. This defines the success of a family. There are studies that have traced the family trees of 2 men, one a doctor and the other a criminal. From the doctor's lineage, all were upstanding individuals, and one even became a U.S. senator. From the criminal's lineage, all followed similar paths, committing even worse crimes than the father. DNA matters. It's no coincidence that the children of doctors often pursue careers in medicine, or the children of athletes become athletes themselves. It's in their DNA, in their lineage, in the inheritance of their ancestors. So, brothers, learn to set a clear precedent in your relationships.
I think it's funny how a lot of women will say that men lie and men are pieces of shit, but why is it that 26.9% of all women have lied about paternity? Meaning they've actually pinned a child on a father that isn't theirs. And most of them have admitted doing this because they pick the more suitable father out of the men that they've been cheating with. Additionally, another study was done in the UK that 1 in 10 women don't know who the biological father is and they just take a guess. These men actually grow bonds with their children and raise them and fall in love with them, and then they ultimately find out that the child is not theirs. How sick do you have to be to do that to a man, but also to do that to your own child? It's absolutely diabolical. And the worst part about it is there's little to no consequences to the women that do this. In fact, they might get a slap on the wrist or have to pay a fine, and that's only if the father wants to sue, and most of the men don't go after her or don't do anything because they don't have the financial means to fight it in court. I mean, do what you will with this information. Okay, bye.
28% in the United States, and that's only from the men who requested the test. Brothers, that's a significant number. And we're talking only about those who already had doubts. A man must make decisions based on logic and facts, not emotions. Many times, women will try to make the man with the best position and values the father of their child because it benefits them financially. This percentage shows that more than 1 in 4 women has deceived a man about something as fundamental as the identity of his own child. And this is, without a doubt, one of the greatest betrayals. For the man, it's not only an emotionally devastating blow, but also a financial one, as in many cases, he's forced to support a child that isn't his. The emotional pain and sense of betrayal this creates is immense, and the most troubling part is that, in many cases, there are no consequences for the woman. The system is clearly not designed to protect the man in these situations. That's why paternity tests should be mandatory from birth. This would not only eliminate any possibility of deception, but also protect both the man and the child from being caught in a lie that could impact their lives. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are some questions for you. What do you think about making DNA tests mandatory? Do you know anyone who has been a victim of paternity fraud? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means everything to us and motivates us to keep creating more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.
Good morning, lovies. I just wanted to stop by and say you are beautiful, you are loved, you are smart, and God has good plans for you, girl. Keep trusting Him. Have a blessed day.
Welcome to The Wall. Today, we're going to analyze several modern businesswomen and entrepreneurs. We'll listen to an older woman sharing her advice with the younger ones, and another presenting her own theory on why some men, influenced by patriarchy, might feel uncomfortable with empowered women. Although it sounds a bit provocative, let's see what she has to say and how much it resonates with our experiences. I want you to smash that like button and join the channel by subscribing. Show some love to the movement. That's the only contribution we ask from you, man. Share your experiences in the comments to guide other men. Without further ado, let's get started.
I just had my couple booking. It's like 9 p.m. here and I just got back to my hotel. Honestly, that was so goddamn good. I was contemplating staying for free. Like, I honestly really wanted to stay, but at the same time, I was like, I have to be professional. And now I'm just sitting in Melbourne. I've got no more clients. I've got no plugs in Melbourne. I'm considering hiring a male FS worker. There's honestly no other option at this point. I've been on the phone to Mr. Sheffield being like, get the next flight here. No more flights after 9 p.m. I'm desperate. I honestly never get like this as well. Like, I must be getting my period. My food's arrived. I wish I could like Uber someone as quick as this food came. Whenever I get like this, I just think about Mr. S. Like, I want him to be here right now. It's too late for client messages. Like, listen to this. I was inquiring if you would engage in a food play session. Essentially, it would be eating whipped cream / milk and soft fruits, e.g. strawberries, from inside of your back door. I mean, wow, I don't think anyone's mentioned me that before. I would be worried that if a strawberry went up there, I wouldn't be able to get it out. You know, once it gets stuck up there, it's hard to get out. I heard of someone going to hospital because they put a whole billiard ball set up their back door. She claims she never knew how they got there. So yeah, never put something up there that you can't get out. I just realized I had a bunch of food in my teeth. Anyway, I messaged that fruit guy back saying no in the politest way I could. And he replied with a counter offer. He asked if I would be open to changing it from a whole fruit to a smoothie. I think I'm still gonna say no. I've already messed up my back door enough in the past. Like, I can't do this. I feel better after I've eaten, and since I have no one on my roster, probably just gonna go to bed.
Damn!
Well, what can we say about the oldest profession in the world? It seems that nowadays, some modern women couldn't care less about what people think of them. They talk about it as if it were just another career, like they're earning a professional degree, and we all know exactly which streets we're talking about. No filters, no beating around the bush, right? It's as if keeping up appearances doesn't matter anymore. They say it with pride. And of course, there's always the famous easy life. And those apps where everything seems so simple. They're no longer worried about what people will say or the consequences. Brothers, how things have changed. That's why those women you see traveling everywhere are always showing off everything except who's sponsoring those trips. That's how it goes, doesn't it? The oldest profession in the world is more alive than ever, but with a modern twist.
The most eye-opening thing I ever learned about men was from my college human sexuality class, where the professor told us that men don't actually like women. Not all men. Sure, but hang in. He said that the way that our society socializes boys to, quote, become men is not to tell them how to be men. It's just to teach them how to not be women. Don't cry, be a man. Don't be a pussy, be a man. Don't be weak, be a man. Don't be sensitive, be a man. Don't like those things. Those are girl things. And the tool we use to do that kind of socializing, to steer them away from feminine things, is shame. And you just can't go your whole life being told that the worst thing you could do is be like a woman and expect to actually like women at the end of that. But they are also taught that their sexual attractiveness to women and their ability to get women is a status symbol in front of other men. So they will sexually pursue women, but they don't actually like them as people. This is how patriarchal masculinity socializes men, and why shame, violence, and disgust are so intricately linked.
It's not that we don't like women. It's that we don't like all women. Sometimes, a man acts on instinct. When a woman attracts him, his biology kicks in, and that's when the game of seduction begins. But let's be honest, not all women spark that fire, and that's okay. Not everyone has to appeal to us, and that's a reality that sometimes gets forgotten. Now, that idea that men only see women as status trophies is a pretty poor simplification. Sure, a man who values himself knows that an attractive partner can give him a boost in his social circle, but that doesn't mean he can't love and appreciate a woman for who she truly is. A man with a clear sense of purpose knows how to manage his emotions and doesn't let himself be led by uncontrolled impulses. The real man isn't disconnected from what he feels. He simply knows when and how to show his emotions without letting them control him.
Hey guys, Rashia Nicole here. So this message is for all of my young ladies between the ages of 18 and roughly 25-ish, okay? So I have a 22-year-old daughter, and she and I went shopping. We brought her friend along. Her friend asked me, Mrs. Parker, can you please give me some advice? Like, what type of advice would you give a 22-year-old about life? I said, sit on down, honey. I got it for you. So some of the things that I shared with her, this ended up being like a 2-hour conversation throughout our trip. However, I'm going to share some of the pointers with you as a professional business owner, woman, and a person who is in school for clinical mental health counseling. I'm going to give you some advice that could probably help you out. So here we go. Number 1. The biggest or one of the most important pieces of advice I can give you is obtain some type of education. Now, it doesn't have to be formal education. If you don't want to do a 4-year college, and that's not your thing, don't worry about it. But what I do want you to do is go get some type of skills training. So if you don't go to a 4-year university, or even if you don't decide to go to a community college, go and get some type of formal training. There are so many ways to be educated out here and to obtain education, certifications, certificates on different skills. There's so many ways to get it out here, but definitely get it. The time is now. And when I tell you the technical field is it. So if you are even remotely interested in that, please, please, please go get you some type of education or skill. People can do what they want, but one thing they can't take from you is your knowledge, okay? When you know different, you move different, and you do it because you can. So education definitely puts you a step above the rest. Don't listen to nobody who tell you it doesn't. The next piece of advice I can give you, don't waste your time with unfruitful things, people, or habits. So unfruitful things, people, or habits. If you know that you are messing around, or you done seen the red flags of these things or people or habits that you know is not going to progress you, don't even waste your time with it. Time is not on our side. If you ask somebody my age right now, if they could go back and tell their younger 22-year-old self some advice, I can guarantee you it's going to be a thing, it's going to be a person, or it's going to be a habit that they're going to want to break, okay? So don't even waste your time with those things. When you see the red flags, run. Just go ahead and be done with it. I could do a whole dissertation on that, but we'll keep going. The third piece of advice that I can give you, make smart financial decisions. Guys, poverty runs deep, all right? And that not only runs deep in our pockets, but it runs deep in our minds. So poverty has the ability to impact generations and generations and generations. So what you want to do is break the chains of poverty now. Start making smart financial decisions right now. And what that means is, just because everybody got a Gucci bag or a Louis bag, don't sit up here and try to blow your refund checks on how to go get you one. Don't sit up here and jump on the next scam or the scheme because such and such got away with it. Don't do that. Make smart financial decisions now. Take care of your credit now. Just because you're 18 does not mean you need to have bad credit. It doesn't. Start to establish that now. If you need help, or if you want to learn how to grow and establish your credit, I do a lot of mentoring. I've been mentoring for well over 10 years now. So I know how to at least help usher you into the financial space that'll give you that base education on what it is to have a bank account, a credit card, a debit account, how to use those things and maintain those things. Hit me up if you need the help. Just drop it in the inbox or the comment section.
Stop it. Get some help. Brothers, just by listening to a woman speak, you can tell if she's single or married. Am I right? This one, for example, is probably a single mother because she talked about everything except how to build a solid relationship. Come on, the best advice for a young woman is to bet on a man with potential, isn't it? But no, all that comes out of her mouth is that typical empowerment speech about being a strong, independent woman, focusing on her career, and being a boss. And of course, when you hear that, you already know how it goes. It's because things haven't worked out in love. Because let's be honest, if she really knew what a good relationship is, she'd be saying something like, get married, have your kids, find a good man to support you. But no, it's all about being individualistic and thinking only about money. And then, surprise, we see how that kind of advice leads some women to feel lonelier than a cactus in the desert. Because, sure, no one tells them that being strong and independent is fine, but finding a balance is better. But anyway, let's keep going with this, because we're here to tell it like it is. No filters and no beating around the bush.
The next piece of advice that I have for you is find a mentor. I just told you guys, I have a mentoring organization for young ladies between the ages of 12 to 17. It's called Girls Destined for Greater Mentoring Group. We have a nonprofit organization called the Happy Confident Future Foundation. Listen, if you don't join me, find yourself a mentor. And this mentor needs to be somebody that you can look up to. If they're doing good for themselves in life and they're doing legal stuff, if they are in a type of career that you want to be in, connect yourself to them, network with them, let them know like, hey, I'm young and I aspire to be where you are. I would love to be your mentee if you're willing to take on a mentor. Get to know these people. Having a mentor can definitely change your life because they can show you the ropes and they can help you avoid some of the mistakes that they may have made on their climb up. So get a mentor. Again, if you need a mentor, talk to me. All right. Last but certainly not least, I need you to heal. All right. And I know you're young, but I need you to heal. And not only do I need you to heal spiritually, but I need you to heal physically. All right. Healing is about it's a two-way path. So you can heal internally and externally. The healing part on the inside is the trauma, the things that you've gone through, the things that bother you that you don't talk to nobody about, the things that keep you up at night and you thinking about those things that make your heart ache when you think about it. Let's get you in therapy. Let's get you a counselor. Let's start to heal and go through that. If you are a spiritual person, let's learn how to pray, connect to God, talk to God. You got to heal that inner part. The next part, I need you to heal physically. Now, when you're young, you can eat all the hot Cheetos and the flaming hots and the drinking and all of that, and you think it won't catch up with you. Baby, I can guarantee you that it does. So what you put inside your body eventually comes outside of your body, all right? So when you take care of your body, give yourself the water, the nutrients, the things that you need to be physically healthy, you go a lot further. So those are just my quick 5 tips that I have for you. Share this with a young lady if you think she could benefit from them. And if you want me to drop some more, let me know, because baby, once I sat down and thought about it, we had a whole conversation with a whole bunch of stuff that we covered. So if you like these tips and you want some more, let me know. I am more than happy to help. Talk to you soon. Bye.
There you have it, gentlemen. No talk of marriage, stable relationships, or finding a good man, because when you don't have that in your life, it's hard to give advice about it, right? These are the typical empty pieces of advice many women get these days, and in the end, they're only leading them to more loneliness than anything else. It seems like having a family, a home, or a healthy relationship is no longer a priority. Now it's all about chase the money, focus on your career. In other words, it's like they're telling women, become the man you want to marry. And come on, these tips sound more suited for a man than for a woman. Then, when those few men who do put in the effort and work hard see this scenario, they just keep walking. Why? Because instead of finding a partner, they feel like they're facing competition. No man wants to be with someone who acts like a rival. He wants someone who brings that feminine energy that balances the relationship, not someone trying to compete with him. But anyway, let's keep going because this is getting interesting.
Sex. Let's talk about it. Okay, now that I have everyone's attention, let's talk about something that is way more important. Consent. So what is it? It is permission for something to happen or an agreement to do something. This video is for absolutely everyone, and I hope that you take the next 30 seconds of your life to get educated. Because this shit is so important. Here are some examples of things that aren't consent. An outfit. Clothes are never asking for it. Nudity. Just because someone's naked doesn't mean they want it. Silence. No answer means no. Dating. Just because you're dating someone doesn't mean you have to do anything with them. Here are a bunch of different things that are equivalent to the answer no. Stop. I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to. I don't know. Last but not least, rape jokes are never acceptable, ever.
Brothers, we've said it 1,000 times. Anything that's not a clear yes is a no. There are no gray areas when it comes to consent. That needs to be absolutely clear. If you're with a woman, always make sure the interest is mutual, because we all know it's the woman who decides who gets access to her space, and the man who decides on commitment. Now, if you notice she's making you work harder than usual just for a simple date, asking you to go the extra mile, to take her to expensive places she couldn't afford herself, or even to pay for trips, drinks for her friends, or her personal expenses, then watch out. You're not winning her over, brother. What you're doing is buying her attention. At that point, you go from being her date to being a wallet on legs. Because when a woman is truly interested in you, she doesn't put up unnecessary barriers. Quite the opposite. She makes things easier because she wants to be with you. But if you're the one always putting in all the effort while she doesn't lift a finger to make it easier, then she's not interested. She's just wasting your time. Remember, anything that's not a clear yes is a no. It's that simple.
I just think it's so funny how women think about having kids and they're like, is this even a world I want to birth kids into? What if I turn into my own parents and I resent myself? What if I can't raise a good person? What if my body image never recovers? And then dudes are like, I want a mini me. One of you is enough. No one else wants a mini you, okay? Shut up.
Welcome to The Wall. Today we're reacting to a rather curious opinion. A woman from the colored hair team claims that men have all the privileges, that we benefit the most from having children, and that, because of the patriarchy, many women in their 40s can't move up the corporate ladder. Remember, we're reacting to the ideas, not attacking the person. I want you to smash that like button and join the channel by subscribing. Show some love to the movement. That's the only contribution we ask from you, man. Share your experiences in the comments to guide other men. Without further ado, let's get started.
I just think it's so funny how women think about having kids and they're like, is this even a world I want to birth kids into?
She goes on to make the comparison that when men talk about wanting kids, they're just kind of like, oh, I just want a little mini me. Like, I just want a little guy running around. And like, honestly, the truth of this, men don't really have to have complex reasons for wanting kids because they don't actually expect to be doing all that much in the raising, and they're really not risking much by having kids. If they don't intend to become the primary caregiver, then having kids is not going to impact their career, it's not going to impact their long-term finances, they're going to be just fine. If they are in line with the prevailing statistics, they're still going to have leisure time, they're still going to be happy, they're still going to be rich, and they can divorce their wives at any point for a younger model who's not going to complain. Having kids also confers status on men. They are seen as better people when they're fathers, and they tend to stamp their last name on their child as well, so they get the benefit of a legacy, I guess. Whatever that fucking legacy is going to be. And risk so much and have to consider so much in the decision to have children, which is why it's so frustrating that there's this cultural myth that women are all baby crazy. And studies show men want children more than women do.
Stop it. Get some help.
For reasons like this, we always say, misery loves company. Let's talk about the last name. We all know how women's hypergamy works. They always aspire to be with the winners. These men with money leave a legacy and can provide for a family because, according to this theory, men only benefit because they pass on their last name and legacy to their children. Now, imagine how they'd react if the father said, "No, my last name won't be used." Let's see how they take that. Then there's the famous myth that men have it easy because they don't risk their career or finances by having children. Please, men risk everything: time, money, energy, and sometimes even their peace of mind. And if the famous divorce happens, say goodbye to the house, the car, and part of your salary, and for years. But, of course, it's easier to repeat the story that men benefit while ignoring what really happens in life. And let's not even talk about the theory that men only want a mini-me, like a pet running around. Sure, because men don't have to worry about anything else in life, right? Child support payments and paying for a kid until he's got more beard than you, that doesn't count, right? Not to mention, many women's biggest achievement was marrying a well-positioned man because they didn't get anywhere on their own merit.
When men don't do enough housework, it makes women not want to fuck them, in news that will shock lots of men and absolutely no women. A new study confirms something women have been screaming about for years, which is that when your partner doesn't do enough of the household labor, it A, makes you resent the fuck out of them, and B, makes you see them as just another child, which is not very sexy. We have a long history of pathologizing women's low desire for sex, but has the medical industry or men in general ever considered that maybe women's partners were just being unfuckable the whole time? Feeling like your partner's mother is not conducive to desire. When they are burdened with too much household labor, it really pisses them off. And of course, if they're the ones doing all the labor, then their male partner is dependent on them in exactly the way a child is. And only Catholic priests find children sexy.
Here's the thing. When a man decides to stay home, cleaning and taking care of the kids, suddenly he loses his attractiveness and respect. That's right, gentlemen. How many stories have we heard of men who do everything at home, and what ends up happening is divorce because the woman is no longer sexually attracted to him? The masculine polarity is gone. It seems not everyone is ready for this new version of the multitasking man. Don't get me wrong, a man should help out at home. That's part of being a functional adult. But here's the key. Every couple has their own dynamic. If a man works 5 or 6 days a week to make sure his wife lacks nothing and they have a roof over their heads, is she going to complain because he's lying on the couch watching TV on a Saturday? Of course not. She knows that's his duty as a man. And if she works too, then they can pay someone to clean the house. Simple. The problem comes when resentment creeps in because he wants a weekend to relax. But hey, that's something negotiable, right? In the end, what's important is that each couple finds their own balance. But interestingly, the ones who complain the most about these things are often the ones who don't even live that dynamic.
Once believed that male privilege was real.
It's easy to be anti-feminist when you're still young and skinny and pretty. Your perception that systemic misogyny and male privilege don't exist is directly related to the fact that men still treat you well because they value your youth and attractiveness and agreeability. But being young and pretty are currencies that depreciate rapidly. Give a 22-year-old 15 more years and the force of the patriarchy will be much more evident to her, and it might hurt more for being unanticipated. When you still have youth and beauty, it's easy to let men tell you that you are better than the bitter harpies who came before you, and then you believe that you are inherently a cut above them. So you align yourself with men's power because you believe that that will make power accrue to you. But it won't. As I always say, making yourself an ally to the patriarchy will not make the patriarchy an ally to you. At 22, you don't realize that your high standing with men is ephemeral. It will not last, no matter how pretty you start out. You think that older women are self-victimizing because you have not yet been victimized by the patriarchy in a way that is obvious to you. But it is already happening, and it will get worse. As surely as the sun will come up tomorrow, men will exploit and abandon women when they are no longer pliant, cute, pretty, sexy, and agreeable.
Oh my God!
Let's not fool ourselves. Some men aren't attracted to less feminine women who use patriarchy as an excuse simply because they chose a career-focused life. It's true that in their youth, women enjoy certain privileges. They're beautiful, slim, and attractive. As women age, they lose some of that value, while men retain privileges for life. This frustration is where this comes from. Sure, men tend to treat younger women better, but not because of some patriarchal conspiracy. It's basic biology. Men value youth and beauty, while women value status, power, and security. As men age, their value can increase due to their achievements, while women's physical attractiveness changes. It's not patriarchy, it's human nature. And don't get me wrong, using what you've got isn't cheating. If a woman decides to leverage her attributes to find a good man, betting on someone's potential and building a financially secure family, isn't she using her privileges wisely? The truth isn't that women worsen over time, but rather that many never learn to use more than their looks to keep a man. Others discovered that by focusing on their career, they didn't become more attractive to the men they wanted, who chose the girl from the cafe over the big executive.
Do women really baby trap men, or is there a possibility that it's the other way around? Men baby trap women. Men baby trap women into exploitative, gendered household labor dynamics that are weighted against women. Men baby trap women into long periods of low or no income when they've had kids. Men literally baby trap women inside the home with infants who are difficult to take out into a man-made world that is hostile to people who are breastfeeding or using prams and strollers. Men baby trap us into being too busy as primary carers to participate in the public life and activities that can gain us political power, which gives us the ability to create change for ourselves. Men baby trap women into abusive relationships where we are too physically and financially vulnerable to leave. And even if a man is meaningfully concerned about getting someone pregnant and he wants to control his reproductive choices, he always has the choice of wearing a condom. He also has the choice of standing up for women's reproductive rights. And even if that condom fails, as contraceptives sometimes do, and he accidentally gets someone pregnant, it's not him who will be trapped.
All I know is we don't see men looking to have kids with people who have money or high incomes, hoping to get a hefty child support check. If it were all as this woman says, why do you think the NBA advises its players on these situations? Because at certain sports parties, there's talk of people trying to trap someone with these kinds of things. We've even heard stories of celebrities like Drake taking extreme precautions to avoid unwanted surprises. Why does this happen if, supposedly, we men are the ones wanting to have kids? Why are child support payments for men typically higher than for women? Why, in divorces, do women often seek to keep the children, even when the fathers are perfectly capable of caring for them? It's an interesting question, right? Because, of course, the money that comes with child support is a significant factor. And in countries where fathers have good incomes, child support is often proportional to that. What sense does it make for a child to need to live at the same level as their father if it means payments go up to $10,000 or $15,000 a month? Does a child really spend that much in a month? But of course, they say it's us men who want to have kids, not the gold diggers.
Study has found that women over 40 are being age discriminated against at work, and so are women under 40, so that's great for all of us, I guess. The researchers discovered there is no perfect age for being a professional woman because the right age to be as a woman is a man. Middle-aged women are seen as difficult to manage and have too much family responsibility, but if they're a man, that's not a problem. This bit's going to make you scream. Some hiring committees decline to hire middle-aged women because they might have menopause-related issues and be challenging to manage. Yet those jobs were given to similarly aged men. The quote here says, "You're not seen as middle-aged, you're seen as old, whereas your comparable male counterpart is seen as in his prime time." This same study showed that women under 40 are having their credibility and experience dismissed because of their age. This part's gross. Younger women were called pet names, patted on the head, experienced role incredulity, meaning people didn't believe they held the roles they held. They get mistaken for students, interns, trainees, support staff, secretaries and stuff. Such inaccurate assumptions were especially prevalent for non-white women. Researchers concluded that men are promoted based on their potential and their professional ambition is not a bad thing, whereas for women, the goal is to try to keep them in their place, supporting men in the male-controlled environment.
This is the never-ending story. If you look at the rosters of many big offices in the United States, you'll see plenty of women in all kinds of positions. Nowadays, women graduate more than men, which increases the demand for women in managerial roles. Yet, there always seems to be a complaint. When a man without a family is working, he's more likely to put in extra hours and climb the ladder quickly. Women can do the same, but many choose to get married and start a family. It's not about gender. It's about how much time you dedicate to your work. On the issue of why they're sometimes not hired, there are certain reasons for it. Nowadays, many men, especially in places with a lot of women, are cautious due to the rise in workplace harassment claims. Statistics from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, in the U.S. show that women file the majority of sexual harassment complaints. Between 2018 and 2021, 78.2% of sexual harassment complaints were filed by women. Additionally, between 25% and 85% of women report experiencing some form of harassment at work, with higher rates in male-dominated sectors like mining, transportation, and warehousing. Now, tell me, as a boss, do you really want to deal with that dynamic? That's why some take precautions, like not closing the office door or installing cameras. It's not because of an oppressive patriarchy, but because they want to avoid potential problems. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Why do you think fewer women are being hired in jobs today? Do you think men are the only ones who benefit from having children? If you like the video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Your support is what motivates us to keep creating more content. See you in the next video of The Wall.